Welcome back. We saw local elections across South Florida this week. On Miami Beach, we watched two incredibly flawed and controversial candidates run for mayor, with Steve Miner emerging as the lesser of two evils, edging out Kristen Rosen Gonzalez. In the city of Miami, voters decided they were finished with the old guard of Carollo, Suarez, and Diaz de la Portilla. Instead, the top three vote getters in the crowded field were reform candidates, with County Commissioner Eileen Higgins getting 36% of the vote. She will now advance to a runoff next month against former city manager Emilio Gonzalez, who received 19%. Ken Russell finished third and is now out of the mayor's race. And we have a little breaking news for you this morning. I will be moderating a live televised debate between Higgins and Gonzalez on Tuesday, November 25th from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on CBS. It should be a good one. Now, in Hialeah, voters there elected Bryan Calvo to be the next mayor in the City of Progress. At 27, Calvo will be the youngest mayor in the city's history. I caught up with him a few days after his big win.
Look, I think the results that we saw, being able to win in a mandate in a very crowded field, shows a mandate to govern for change in Hialeah. That's what my candidacy was based on. You had other commissioners, the interim mayor. They represented continuity from Mayor Steve Bovo's departure. And my candidacy was one of change. And I think the voters spoke loud and clear that they want something different. You see costs going up in Hialeah year after year, as in many cities in Miami-Dade County, but the services in Hialeah have really suffered. And we're focused on that, on improving those services while trying to keep the costs as low as possible.
Why did you want to run for this position? Obviously, you were a city councilman. You were one of the youngest, if not the youngest, to ever serve. What made you want to move up to the seat of mayor?
Look, I'm a Hialeah kid, born and raised. I was a product of the public schools. I went off to Harvard. I got my studies there. I worked at the White House. I did all those things. And then I came back to my community to give back to the city where I grew up. A lot of the people that I went to high school with, they went off and they didn't come back. And Hialeah has sort of that brain drain or whatever you want to call it. But it's been a city where most people, they try to leave after a while. I think that changes now. Hialeah is an amazing place to live, an amazing place to start a family. But they need the leaders that understand the issues, not only from the door-to-door and sort of the common day issues that affect folks, but also have the professional training, right? We talk a lot about how I'm the youngest mayor in Hialeah's history, but I'm also the first attorney that Hialeah has had as mayor. And so I think the combination of the professional acumen and also the, having been born and raised in the city make me uniquely qualified to lead the city over the course of the next 4 years, because right now we're celebrating our 100th year anniversary. I think it's a pivotal moment in our city's history.
You ran as a reformer. You ran as someone who wants to root out corruption. Talk to me a little bit more about that. What is it that you see in your city that you don't like and that you want to change?
Look, over the course of the campaign, there was several stories in the Miami Herald about corruption. You had the interim mayor with several code violation issues, even though she was the chief code enforcement officer as mayor. The perception, at least by the common resident, is the city hall is corrupt. There's backroom dealings. And a lot of this over the course of the campaign was shown to be correct. And so it's coming in with that mentality of cleaning up shop to the best one can. I mean, I don't have the idea that I can come in with a magic wand and root out all evil and all corruption, but we certainly strive to that end. I think, one of the main concrete things that we have to do is Hialeah does not have an independent inspector general position. And so those are one of the changes that I'm proposing that take place, because you need a check and balance. Hialeah is a strong mayor. It's a strong mayor form of government, much more powerful than even the county mayor, because the commissioners in Hialeah, which is called the city council, they have very, very little power. I saw it firsthand. And I think the playing field has to be leveled, because you need more checks on the chief administrator, which is the mayor.
One of the things I'm sort of curious about, you represent sort of a new generation. We see that in politics where a lot of older politicians tend to hold on. We see it in Washington. We see it throughout Florida. What do you think, your election represents just in terms of the next generation, the youth sort of coming into power of its own?
Yeah, look, it's a shift, a generational shift, definitely. One saying that I think it holds true is Age is no, confirmation of wisdom, but youthfulness is no confirmation of change. I hope my generation does do it differently. I certainly am striving to do it differently in our city. And so I think it's a powerful opportunity that we have. But understanding that, look, the realities of governing, right? Campaigning is easy, right? Governing is a lot harder. But we go in and I go in with the best intention to try to make this city the best place to live. That's the outlook that I have. And I think it's a powerful moment. You know, in Hialeah, we have some of the oldest voters across Miami-Dade County. The average age, believe it or not, is over 75 in our city. And yet they wanted to elect, quite literally, the youngest mayor in all of Florida. So I think they have confidence in the youth. And, you know, I hope that I can deliver and I will deliver on that confidence.
Have you already started making some decisions as to what you want to do with your administration? Because you are the strong mayor. So, for instance, the police chief, other administrators, do you expect them to stay, to go? What are your plans with regard to that?
Yeah, look, this is over the next 2 months, a moment to build the government. Swearing in wouldn't be until January. Up until this interview right now, I have still not heard from the interim mayor. I have not heard from the city in any official or unofficial capacity. But I need to start getting information from the city to start making these decisions. We have 19 departments, and I need to interview and vet each one of those directors. I know many of them as a council member, but obviously this is totally different. And I think there will be major changes. I'm not ready to announce that right now, but as coming in, I need a good team that's surrounding me. And I think it's going to be a mix of people that are there now and new people that need to come in.